hope you're doing well. My name is Katie and I make book related videos every single Wednesday, and I will just say if my voice sounds a little bit froggy, that's because I finished this book about 15 minutes ago and I was sobbing, which doesn't happen very often. But don't worry, there won't be any spoilers, that's all I'll say. But I also did just want to point out that although I post videos every Wednesday, there won't be one next week because there's just some family stuff going on, so I will be back here in 2 weeks. So today, I don't know if I've said this yet, I'll be reviewing The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer, or Wolfitzer? I don't have her name in front of me. But as a very brief synopsis, The Interesting starts off in the 1960s when 5 to 6, 15 to 16-year-olds meet at an arts camp on the East Coast. It's mainly made up of privileged kids because it's quite an expensive arts camp to go to. People go there to become like dancers, actors, fucking glass blowers, everything like that. And Jules, I would say, even though this story is told from 3 or 4 points of view, I would say she is the main protagonist, and she's from a middle-class family and gets to go to this camp on scholarship where she meets this group of 5 or so teenagers who already know each other. Now, I feel like when I describe the plot that way, it makes it sound like some strange variation of Mean Girls, but I promise that is not the case for this book whatsoever. So it's mainly told from the point of view of Jules, as I said, but it's also told from the point of view of my favorite character, and I'm sure many other people have read this book, Ethan Figman. He's a very enigmatic teenager. People are just drawn to him. He also wants to become an animator. He has this comic he likes to draw called Figland, but then he's unfortunately quite unfortunate looking, covered in eczema, things like that. Then there is Ash, who's kind of the stereotypical perfect girl, but who's not an asshole. She's very sweet, but she's just kind of that girl we all knew growing up where we were like, there has to be something wrong with you. You're so perfect. And then you have Jonah Bay, who is the son of a famous folk singer. Now this story vacillates back and forth. As I said, it starts off when they're 15 or 16 and their points of view, and it trails all up until I want to say they're in their mid-50s. And it covers everything from marriage, children, death, just all the big and small things that happen in our lives. I will start off with the pros and then I will get into a couple of cons, but I will just say overall, I absolutely adore this book. As I said, when I finished it 10-15 minutes ago, I was sobbing. You guys know I obviously mainly love creepy horror novels or psychological thrillers, but I also really love authors who can detail just a really realistic progression of people's lives in a really interesting way. Because as much as I love horror, what I really love reading is just different variations of how people see the world, and I think she does that excellently here. It's rare for me that I connect with characters so much, and I have to say I loved every single one, except for of course the 1 or 2 you're not supposed to like, but the ones you're supposed to love I really loved. I genuinely get very upset thinking about the fact that I'm not going to hear more about these characters' lives, and for example, when I think of Figland, which Ethan Figman created, I'll genuinely forget for a second that that doesn't actually exist. And side note, I always pictured it kind of like Rick and Morty, but I'm curious for you guys who've read the book, like what you pictured it as. Now a lot of the reviews are kind of like me where they're 5 stars. People said they just adored the characters and really wanted even more out of the book, but then a lot of the reviews are straight up 1 stars, and most of the negative reviews are people saying that nothing happened, which from one lens I could kind of understand what they're getting at, because this isn't a book that has something massive, you know, cataclysmic that happens halfway through the book. It really is just realistically following these people's lives. So I would say if you get 50 pages into this book and you're not loving the characters and you're not loving the author's writing style, because those are the 2 things where if you love this, you will love this book. But if you're 50 pages in and you're thinking, okay, when's something gonna happen? I would honestly just recommend putting the book down, because honestly it's just not that kind of book. So in terms of the cons, I will say all of the characters have super similar backgrounds, even though you could say, well, oh, Jules is from a middle-class family. They're pretty much all from New York City, all super rich, all super white. So I think if there was someone with a bit of a more different background, that would have been really nice to kind of balance everything out. Additionally, Jules is a very bitter, angry character. I don't think that's spoiling anything, and I wish the author would have represented her in a little bit more of a negative light, because I don't think this is a spoiler, but Jules, even at 50, is obsessed with the past and things that happened when she was 15, and it's just a little bit unrealistic. So I wish the author would have pointed out a little bit more how strange and kind of in the wrong she was for a lot of the book, and the author does kind of do that, but just maybe not as much as I would have liked. So overall, I absolutely adored this book. I do recommend it, and if you guys have read anything else by the author, definitely let me know your recommendations, or even authors with just kind of a similar writing style, because it's rare I love an author's writing style this much. And I will say, sorry, I guess the review's not over, because I forgot to make this point. I would not say that this is the best writing I've ever read, but I think occasionally we just come across an author whose writing style just really connects with us and that you absolutely adore, and that was kind of my case with Meg Wolitzer. So again, let me know recommendations for books you think I would like if I liked this book, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.